And ladies, whenever you all are ready.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
As ready as we're going to get. I am Suzanne Banta, and I am the Youth Services Librarian here in Henry County. I've been here for several years. I'm not going to tell you how long because I don't want to age myself. But it's been a while, and I'll let Natalie introduce herself.
I'm Natalie Jeffries. I'm the Adult Services Librarian here at the Henry County Public Library. I have been here for a couple of years, as she's been here for several years. But I have been working with Suzanne for 6 years now.
And we are going to turn our camera off so no one has to look at us anymore. We just wanted you to see our faces for a few minutes first. Okay. So today we are going to talk about an event that we did in 2015 that we decided to turn into an annual event. Natalie and I collaborate a lot. So we both worked together on our Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds mini conference for families. Today, what we want you to learn is that partnerships are key to any successful program like that you can do a lot with just a little. We are not a huge library. We do have this nice, big, new, beautiful building that we're in that we haven't got to use a whole lot because we moved into in February of 2020. But this is we don't have huge budgets, and it's usually just the two of us plus a couple of assistants putting big programs like this on. And this program, I can't wait to tell you how much money we spent on this program because it's so little. We're also going to talk a little bit about going into a program like this with an attitude that's open and being a little vulnerable with your patrons in order to make the program a success. And as always, if you feed them, they'll show up. Our Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds conference started through our partnership with the Family Resource and Youth Service Center. We have two different school systems, so there are, including the youth service centers, 4 FRYSCs in our county, and I serve on the advisory council for all 4 of them. Thankfully, 3 of them meet on the same day at the same time, like together, to make it easier for all of us that serve on all of this. In 2015, our local FRYSCs got together and decided that in order for families to qualify for Christmas assistance through their program, that they would require those families to attend some workshops and go to some family events and attend at least one parent-teacher conference and several other different things. And actually, they started doing it before 2015, but the first couple of years that they did it, it was a little less organized, and we were providing some activities that would qualify, and the school was providing some activities that would qualify, and the parents would they were spread really thin, and, mom would go to 2 sessions here, and then dad would have to go to 2 sessions here, or grandma would have to, go to 3 different places to get their Christmas assistance. So in 2015, we decided that we wanted to have this one-stop shopping experience kind of thing where they could meet all of their requirements in one day, except for attending a parent-teacher conference, of course. So our family conference goals were to provide this one-stop program where they could get all 4 of their workshops done in one day, but we also wanted it to be this really fun interactive day that was full of all this really great information that promoted overall wellness to kind of create some positive change in the county, and if we were lucky, get some library users out of what we were doing. So step 1 was to find our presenters, and I started reaching out to everyone that I could think of who might be willing to share their knowledge in a workshop. We also, the hardest part of doing that though is finding someone who is willing to work and be in the room and present for both adults and children at the same time. So I had to be really specific about what I was asking them to do, and a lot of people just flat out said no. But we met, we did some brainstorming with FRYSCs. I did some brainstorming with Natalie and with the staff, and we're like, who do we reach out to? Who do we plan? And then out of the interest and the people who were say, yeah, I'm willing to do that if you give me a little bit more details, I started to set up a more serious agenda. We wanted to give swag bags away, like, we were at the Oscars or something, for everybody who attended. So we started gathering goodies for that. We started setting up agenda for the day and kind of fleshing out the details. But the number one thing that we had to do was find those partners who were going to do things for us, hopefully for free, in order to help us meet the goals of this program. So I'm going to let Natalie talk for a minute about reaching out to partners and what that process looks like, because we reach out to them for so many things, and Natalie is excellent at that. She's doing it for 2 different programs right now.
Yeah.
So.
So I have a really keen knack for building partnerships in the community. One, I like to talk a lot, so I think that helps out. So if you have someone in your library that just naturally kind of has a great customer service persona, maybe you can utilize that skill to help you build partnerships. But just simply reaching out to people and saying, hey, we're here at the library and we're doing this really fun thing. We want you to be a part of it. Usually gets people pretty excited. Helping your local businesses is only going to help them in the long run as well. So just if you keep that in mind as you're trying to build some of these partnerships, I think that, it'll make you feel a little less like you're asking so much of some of these people. So, yeah, but I am really good at building those bridges and figuring out exactly who I need to talk to take care of different things. Joining different local organizations, if you're able to do that, like your Chamber of Commerce, your Rotary, there's a lot of different partnerships that you can think about, and we're going to talk about that a little more later. But just kind of trying to expand your mind on who is able to help you besides the people that you normally think about when you think about building partnerships.
We also did not reach out to them one time and get the yes and just leave them hanging. I stayed in contact with the presenters that were and also just the people who were going to send me things, who weren't willing to present. But yeah, we'll send some brochures and some magnets and pencils and stuff for you to put in the goodie bag. So I probably emailed back and forth with everybody a dozen times. I've checked in the week before to make sure they had everything they needed. If they needed me to provide supplies for their presentation, I was willing to go, purchase broccoli or bubbles or, whatever they needed to make their conference session successful. So our first year, I couldn't find a color photo of our first flyer, so it looks kind of boring, but I promise it's bright and eye-catching. But it looks just like the agenda, so everybody knows exactly what they're getting into. So year 1, we started in the morning. We always start with stretching, setting intentions, some deep breathing. People can stretch by standing up. They can stretch in their chair, and then make some announcements. This is what the day is going to look like, kind of thing. And then we start with our first presentation, which usually lasts about 45-50 minutes. We did healthy snacks that were presented by our local extension agent. She did an amazing job. She talked a lot about, if you get the bag of celery and then you leave it in the refrigerator, you're less likely to eat it if you don't cut it up first and go ahead and piece it out into baggies or containers or whatever you're using. She brought fresh vegetables and fruit for the kids to eat. She taught them how to make some very healthy, much healthier than what I eat, fruit and veggie dips that we then hung on to save for lunch. And in between and when that session was over, we had a quick break. We drew for door prizes because door prizes were really important, and we gave one away after every session. Then we partner a lot with our local district health department. They do some amazing things for us and come to almost every event we have where we need somebody to set up a table, we need somebody to talk, we need somebody to just share some stuff. So they did healthy habits, which was included some mindful eating, some diabetes prevention, exercise, things like that. It was a really good presentation. Then we break for lunch. Our Friends of the Library is also incredibly supportive of this event and the goal of this event. And so they provide us with lunch every year. The Friends pays for pizza, they pay for chips, they pay for drinks, whatever we ask them for, they're willing to pay for. And they come and serve the lunch so that we don't have to, which is really nice. And then we did a library scavenger hunt that they could do during that hour break for lunch that was then also entered into prize drawings, of course. But it gave them time to go to the library. The kids had a really good time playing in the children's area. And then we had them come back together, and I presented. I had some fun science experiments that were just kitchen science experiments with baking soda and, Ziploc bags and vinegar and stuff that I kept telling them you don't need crazy lab equipment to do science experiments with your kids and have fun. And so we did, Miss Tess, my assistant at the time, and I did some fun science experiments. And then she took the kids outside and they all did science experiments in the parking lot while I talked to the parents about how to talk to your kids and have conversations with your kids and how important that is. And we watched a little video, and they put together table topic jars using some supplies that we already had that they seemed to really like. And the surveys that we got back, a couple of them had mentioned that it gave them new ways to talk to their kids that they were excited about. The last session of the day is our most serious. We save it for the end of the day because we take the kids out of the program, and the kids go with one of us into our kids area to do some activities and play games and maybe do some more science experiments or just explore the library with one of the library staff. And then the adults stay for a more serious presentation. The first year was a trooper from the Kentucky State Police came, and he talked about the drug epidemic in our county. And I wasn't there for that presentation. I don't know if that's all he talked about or if there was.
Yeah, he talked about it in our county and just different things to look for, not only with your family members, but with your kids, and ways to get help to just in case there's anyone in the presentation that needed that. So there were some people, in tears, so it was a little bit intense. So just have some tissues ready. Be there to support people if you do plan on having a more serious topic. Just know that part of your job that day is going to be providing support for some of the people that are in the session as well. So,
and then our plan had been to bring the groups back together to sign forms for Christmas assistance in a very organized and efficient manner, and everybody got their goodie bags and they go home, which is not what happened at all. It turned into utter chaos at the end of the day. And Natalie and I were furiously signing forms and trying to make sure that everybody got their bags. The one important thing to know, though, is that they did not have to stay for the whole day. We had families that came in time to eat lunch and attend the afternoon session because their kids had soccer or football in the morning. We had families that had gotten one or two of their requirements met, and they just needed a couple of more sessions, so they opted to just to attend in the morning, and then they left to go have lunch somewhere else. It was entirely up to them what they could attend, how they could come and go. Our goal was to get them excited in the morning, though, so that they would stay all day. We also, we had, around 40 for each session. And because we do have people who come and go, we count each session separately for attendance. And then our youngest child was 2.5. He really enjoyed the snacks. And beyond that, he was over it. And we had to pull out some Legos for him. And then we had several teenagers, our oldest being 14, who were in the room that day. We do have surveys. I have them fill out their surveys after each presentation so that they kind of remember what happened and what happened. These were our survey results. They gave everything kind of a 1 out of 10. And you kind of see in not that anybody gave bad reviews, but in the morning they were kind of hesitant to say this is fun and this is great, and thinking this was going to be a terrible day and it was going to be boring and it was going to be people preaching at them all day long. And then as the day got on, they kind of settled on into what we were trying to do and kind of started to participate and share more, and it was really fun. And most of them, not everybody filled out a survey, but most families who filled out the survey said they would be willing to come to future events and had some really good ideas for some presentations we would do in the future. In year one, what we learned is that buy-in from everyone, not just over, let's just go to this program, but we needed everybody to buy into this goal that we're trying to do something good, and we were trying to promote some overall well-being. We needed buy-in from the presenters, for what we were trying to do for these families. We needed buy-in from the families that it was important, because I will tell you that coming into the room, not everyone had buy-in. And the first presentation, I stopped 10 minutes in and we had to give a speech about how the presenter was there doing something nice for us for free. So if you're going to sit in the back and just have a conversation with your family and not participate, it was really rude. And you probably shouldn't be there. And the speech was much nicer and much more diplomatic than that, but that's what I was thinking in my head. But I was also not coming at it. I myself was not coming at it from an open place, from what these families were going through and what they were coming into, which we'll talk about that in a little bit later. That the lunch was absolutely necessary. I don't think some of the families would have come if we did not provide lunch. We did not have drawings every hour. They did not go home with goodie bags. We also had crafts. They had supplies to do science experiments. They got all kinds of things for doing this. And then, as I said before, we really needed to do something different at the end, because it was utter chaos and the most stressful part of the day. So we definitely made some notes and decided that we needed to do something the next year. So year two, I will say it was really hard in year 2 to get people to come that were willing to talk to adults and kids in the same room at the same time. The health department, of course, was willing to come. They talked specifically about diabetes prevention and nutrition. It was their nutritionist that came. I was hesitant to have a local chiropractor come, because I really didn't want him to promote his business or his office, and to say you should come see me before you come see a doctor. And I'll be honest, I've never been to see a chiropractor, so I was a little unsure. But Dr. Mark did an amazing job, and I was so glad that we had them come. And it was such an out of the box kind of way to think about, who are we going to have this presentation, but it 100% worked. There's a picture in the next slide where he brought like a full-on, like, life-size model of the human spine that he was like twisting around and showing you what happened when you slept a certain way, and when you looked at your phone, this is what your spine looks like, and it's not good for you. And talked to the kids a lot about how to sit and how to sleep, and the kids were just mesmerized by him moving the spine around and were amazed at it. And there were the adults in the room had so many questions for him that were really good questions, and concerns that they had for their family. And he was so reassuring. And if he felt like he couldn't help them, he said, you need to go to see your family physician, because that's not something that they do. And then we invite all our presenters, because they're doing these things for free, which I forgot about that part. This is why I should have written out my notes. Year 1 cost us no money, just so you know. None. Zero. None of our presenters charged us anything. We didn't have to provide any supplies for our presenters. Everything that came in our goodie bags was donated, or supplies we had our hand. Our door prizes were all things I had in my office that were like, I used my reward points from Penworthy, or I had this thing left over from a conference. And the friends pay for lunch. So it cost us $0 for year 1. And because our presenters are doing this for free, we invite them to come eat lunch with us. So Dr. Mark, who had brought his family with him, stayed and ate lunch with everyone and continued to have conversations and answer their questions during lunch, and wrote me a nice thank you note for inviting him. And then, of course, we did lunch and library explanation. In the afternoon, because we had a hard time finding presenters, my assistant, Ms. Tess, did family journaling. All the families got some leftover composition notebooks we had from things, and we had some prompts and some stickers and gel pens and all kinds of things. And they sat at the tables in their family groups and journaled together. And it was really cool to see. And then I talked about coping strategies. We did some different deep breathing activities. We practiced some different grounding activities. We talked about times you might need to use those things. And I talked about how it's important to slow down sometimes. So we did a craft that required you to slow down and put a little bit of thought in it. And we made galaxy jars. The second year, the only thing I had to buy were the jars and cotton balls for galaxy jars. So the total cost for U2 for us was $35 because our presenters were free. We used stuff we already had on hand again. Our door prizes were all stuff I had in the closet or, things that people had donated or we had gathered. So this was an amazing program. It was a day-long event that only cost us $36. Year 3, we wanted to put a little bit more focus on mental health. So a couple of our sessions focused on mental health more. I read the book, What Do You Do with a Problem, which I think is amazing and that everyone should read it, including adults, and did a little activity where you fill a balloon up with worry and then you twist it and turn it into something different. So I learned how to make balloon animals for this presentation. And then Tess had just read this really good book about making lemonade out of lemons, about how to promote resiliency in your family. So she presented on her takeaways from that program. We had one of our partners from the Traeger Institute, UOL, that Natalie is on some committees with, come and do a presentation on health matters. And she didn't just talk about eating healthy and exercising. She also talked about how important it is to find some joy in little moments in your life. And she talked about making sure she takes time to dance with her grandson or be in nature. And then I did buy bubbles for her presentation because at the end of her presentation, we all blew bubbles and were encouraged to dance in the bubbles if you wanted to. Kids had an amazing time. And then, of course, we had lunch. And then I did pay for a session this year because we had never put any money into this conference before. So I hired Michelle from Drum Smart to come in and do a community drum circle. It was really loud inside the library, but amazing. And then we split the kids apart again, and I had someone come to talk to the parents about human trafficking, specifically in our area, and how to prevent it and what to look out for. And it turned out to be really interesting. It's a presentation I wish I had gone with the kids instead of sitting in on it because, I learned all kinds of scary things. But there was a dad in the group who drove a semi for a living and was talking about how they're training semi drivers to do stuff like that and what to look out for, and talked about how grateful he was for her for coming to talk to everybody and share that information during the day. Like I said, year 3 did cost us some money. It was $250 for the drum circle, but that's the only thing that I paid that day. We had decided that we wanted, in addition to the surveys, we wanted everybody to really feel like they could share their experiences and they could share what was going on with themselves, and we could all be a little bit more vulnerable. So in sessions, I shared personal information about myself, not like super personal, but when I was talking about coping skills and what do you do with a problem, I was sharing problems that I would have to deal with, which caused them to share more and feel more comfortable with me and with Tess and Natalie. And then after every session, I gave them all Post-it notes and told them to write down one takeaway from each session to put on the wall so that everybody could have different takeaways and everybody could share their thoughts and their feelings. And it was totally anonymous. Nobody had to write their name on it, but the kids had so much fun sharing their ideas and cool stuff like that. And they had an amazing time. And I still have one, actually, that's behind me on my bulletin board that says, no matter the beat, all can come together as one, that I saved from all those Post-it notes that we thought was cool. Last year, we just totally skipped it. Like so many other things that we were excited about in this new building,
Yeah.
we just couldn't do it. And we were, like everybody else, it kind of felt like you were treading water the whole time and just doing your absolute best to keep your head above water and get creative and deal with things and hope it would all be over soon. But as we know, it's not. So we're calling this year 4.1. This year, what we are doing next month, we're going to kind of do a hybrid. We have an amphitheater. It's small, but it's an amphitheater. So we have this outdoor space that we can do things in. So I'm going to do a family night where they can come and socially distance and do some fall crafts. But we'll also have some Zoom presentations from our presenters, because we live in an internet desert where it's really hard to get internet at home. It was really hard for me to get internet at home. We lived in our house for 6 years, and we just finally got decent internet this year. So we're going to do those sessions in Zoom, but we're going to record them and then have them available for 2 weeks for families to come in and check out a laptop, go to the study room, watch it together. That's how you get credit for doing it. Lunch we're approaching in a really interesting way that we're really excited about and working on right now. Our lunch, which is usually pizza from our local pizza restaurant. We have one right across the street, luckily now. And they give us the Friends a really good discount. But lunch has now become what we hope is family pizza night kits, where we're trying to source some local products. And I'll let Natalie talk about that a little bit, because that's she's on it right now.
Yeah, so I've been going around. We are fortunate that we live in a community where there are a lot of farms, and a lot of our local farms have different little, shops that you can go into. So we have a meat store that the local farmers take their, cows, pigs, what have you, up there, and you can purchase meat from them. We also have a couple of creameries, so cheese is kind of readily available, and then we of course have tomatoes and herbs like you wouldn't believe. So I think that what we're going to attempt to do is I've been working with some of our local resources, and they're going to give us some pretty hefty discounts on cheese and meat, and that way we can kind of package this family pizza night kit into these cooler bags that we already had left over as swag, which kind of worked out perfectly for us. And it will resemble something like you might receive on your doorstep if you ever have done like a subscription food box or something. So it kind of gives the sense of like a luxury item too, I think, to maybe some families that wouldn't normally be able to afford something like that. And I think it will be really special. So I'm excited.
And then our hands-on sessions, of course, become take and make projects that you pick up your supplies and do your science experiments at home, which I would sure to be excited about. But I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of tired of putting together making take kits. And then our scavenger hunts are going to become family breakouts. So you'll check out a breakout kit, or I'm still finalizing the details on all of those and trying to make it cost as little as possible. But scavenger hunts will be family breakout kits. And then we're hoping that we can just add those breakout kits to our game collection so that families can check them out going forward. Kind of excited about that too. So that's what year 4 looks like. I was trying to go over my notes to see if I forgot anything. Year 4, of course, we are going to put some money into this program, but we have some money to spend since we're not doing a lot of other in-person programs right now in our county.
Our Friends group is also still going to help us with the lunch, the family pizza night kits. So they're going to help us pay for that this year. They definitely opted into that. We haven't been able to utilize them for lunch, for last year's program. So they're going to be able to help us with that expense. So the rest of it we'll be paying for, but the food is actually free of cost again this year.
And our presenters who are doing our Zoom sessions will also be free. So our main cost will be whatever we do for take and makes, and the breakout kits will be our main cost. We just don't know for sure what their cost will be yet.
And the breakout kits will be something, like Suzanne said, that hopefully we can have in our catalog that will be able to like circulate through the whole public. It won't just be for this one-time event. So that expense will kind of pay off in the long run.
I was trying to, what did I forget about? One thing that I didn't mention is that what we learned in year 2 is when you're having trouble finding presenters, you probably have a pool of talent in your staff that you are not aware of. So you can think out of the box that way. I kind of had to like force Tess to do that presentation, but she was really good at it, and it was amazing, and there was amazing feedback, and she got asked a lot of questions from families after the presentation was over, and they got a whole lot out of it. We have staff members with all kinds of crazy talent that it just sometimes it takes a little pushing, and sometimes there's a bribery involved. But we've pulled from our staff to do some pretty crazy things over the years. Half our staff now plays ukulele, so. So lunch is also important, not just because we're providing free lunch for a family, but what we found through all the years of doing that is that it's a necessary time for the families to connect with each other and for the families to connect with us, because family resource centers also come that day to, we usually have at least 2 of the family resource center reps who come that day to help us pull this off, and who talk to their families and talk to new families and meet new people and check in with the kids, and they get to know us a little bit better. So through lunch, we've learned that it's, we're more likely to get them back if we make those connections through lunch, to either come to a program in the future or to become library users. So lunch is really, really important. We've talked a lot about our partners, and our partners are the reason why this costs so little money with us. So I'd like you, if you don't have pen and paper in front of you, because you're sitting on your at home in your living room or wherever, that's fine. Just try to make a list in your head. But I'm going to give you about, like 3-4 minutes to just think and make a list of current partners off the top of your head, and then make a list of people who you're not necessarily partnering with already, but you think you could reach out to them and have a conversation about either a program like this or something that you have coming up. Natalie is currently planning a nighttime farmers market, and then we are getting ready together to do what will now be our annual Halloween event, where we trick or treat in a drive-through manner in our new parking lot. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think. Think about who you're already working with. If it's somebody you've only worked with once, like maybe you did a winter reading program and they let you put a snowflake in their window, which is what we did last year. You worked with them that one time, they might do something else for you. You never know. And if it's a local business, they might donate something for, for a door prize.
And we do partner a lot with local businesses, and we'll talk about our partners here in a minute after you guys are making these lists. But your local businesses are really some great resources for you, because a lot of those people utilize your library and you may not know it. Just making connections with those faces that are inside of those businesses can be really good for you in the future, and finding those presenters that you need, and they would be willing to come just because this is so-and-so from this local business, and they may not be promoting their business, but now everyone knows their face and is more likely to come into their business as well. So it is a partnership, because you're helping them just as well as they're helping you.
And there are probably people in your community who would love to be asked, who have just never been asked because they've never been thought of before. We're rural, and we have lots of tiny little pockets of towns, and when we were doing our winter scavenger hunt last year, we went to one of those tiny little towns that's kind of off the beaten path and asked if we could put a snowflake in the farm store window, which also has a restaurant in it, and they were so excited that we stopped in and asked, because she said we never get asked to participate in anything. So we ask them for anytime we're doing anything, we make sure that we contact them.
And you wouldn't believe, like, some of the donations that we did get for our winter reading program. Like, we got hats from a local hardware store, that were, like, really cool. Our meat shop gave us donations. Like, any people that you would never think would even be willing to do anything are probably more willing than what you think. And if you live even in not such a small community, if you're in a bigger community, it doesn't hurt to just explore your community, go around and find those local businesses and patron them, see what they have to offer. And sometimes it's a really great experience. They could probably use the help right now. If you're going to go get a coffee, maybe find it local, and maybe down the road, they'd be willing to give you a gift card in exchange because you just have made a habit of going into their business.
All right, we're going to stop talking and give you 2 more minutes to make your list so that you can really think about them. And then we'll be back in like 2. Okay, we're going to take a minute to share a list of some of our partners and talk a little bit about how we have gathered them, because I feel like it has been a gathering process, and how we keep them happy too, because we want them to continue to be happy so that they continue to work with us. This is not an all-inclusive list of our partners. Some of them we've talked about already, like the Resource Center and the Health Department and the State Police. The first little block is all people who have helped us. Some are ones that we are forming, like we are currently in contact with the Center for Women and Families. I've done some Zoom meetings with them. We're talking about some ways we can work together. Natalie is a new board member of our local Chamber of Commerce. So she is really working with him. Our local Rotary group has actually written grants for us and bought us our opening day collection of Wonder Books, which is amazing. NAMI in Louisville was going to do some stuff with me. We had some really cool stuff planned before the world shut down last year, that we hope to be able to do in the future. We work with Head Start. What we really like everybody to do is share some of your outside of the box ideas. You can either put them in the chat if you want to. I want everybody to try to, let's just share them in the chat for right now. And then if you have some really cool ideas, you can, we're going to let everybody ask us questions in a minute, and you can unmute yourself and share some really cool ideas that you have, because I'm sure everybody has really cool ideas. We do, your SNAP office is a really important person to know. They can hook you up with some people. Professors are good. We work with our local animal shelter a lot. We do animal adoption fairs at the library. Our last one, or we just invite them to come and bring adoptable dogs, because they don't do cats, they just do dogs. But the last one we had was during our back to school event, where we just kind of invited some of our partners in, and they set up tables, and the kids got to go around and get school supplies. And we were going to do some crafts that of course turned into make and takes, because that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
But the last time, 3 of the 4 dogs that they brought with them got adopted, which was really cool. Parks departments are always good. If you are close to a state park, I am so jealous.
So jealous, yeah.
We have a local theater group that does some cool stuff for us. Natalie partners with the Kentucky Blood Center to do regular blood drives here.
We also partner with other nonprofits in our community, that are off the beaten path. So we have the Berry Center, which is ran by Wendell Berry's daughter and granddaughter, and they have the Wendell Berry Farming Program. They have a bookstore, so we partner with them as well. City Council, local authors. We have an abundance of local authors in our community, local artists, musicians. That's Communities in Action. We've partnered with, this is a great list. You guys should just screenshot the notes right here. You guys did awesome. We don't have a national park or a state park close by, but we do have some small parks, and we do partner with our Parks and Rec department. Believe it or not, unless you've watched the show, you might think it's funny.
We have done lots of things with, we have a really great bakery. If you're local, I highly recommend, or local to us, I highly recommend Sammy's Donuts. It's worth the trip for some coffee and donuts. But they give us lots of gift cards for lots of different things. During the pandemic, she gave me a crazy amount of $5 gift cards to give out when we were doing photo contest online, just to keep people engaged with the library when everything was shut down. And they will also, sometimes they bring us their leftover donuts when we're having big programs. That's really nice to have on hand. So they, that's another thing too. The more you stay in contact with these people, the more you just say, hey, what's going on with your business, the more likely they are to think of you when they have some extras, or they have something going on, or they want to get involved. One thing that Natalie and I started doing last year in reaching out to local businesses and partners and organizations that was really successful, especially when we were trying to get people to put snowflakes in their windows or donate some prizes for our winter reading program, we put together, using just some leftover swag that we had from summer learning, together into swag bags. Yes, and always candy. Candy is important. And we picked a day, and we got in my car, and we just drove through the county and stopped at all the locally owned and operated businesses that we can think of, at the extension office, everywhere, and we dropped off goodie bags from the library and introduced ourselves and said, we would love to work with you in the future. Please keep us in mind for other things, and if there's ever anything we can do for you, please let us know. And here's some things we've done to offer, because Natalie's actually, was it the health department you went to and did some IT training?
Yes. No, I went to a local nursing home.
That's what it was. It was a nursing home.
Helped them learn this new program on their computer that they they needed to learn, and they wanted the whole staff to learn it at one time, and they needed somebody to come and train their staff on this one program, and I just happened to know how to do it. And just building that partnership with them, certain people from that particular place might reach out and say, you know what, we've heard that the girl at the library can do this, or, I don't know where to do that, but I'm going to try the library first. So I think that's what's important with these partnerships at the end of the day, is whenever people in our community think of how to solve a problem or where to go to do an event or who to talk to about, organizing something, they come to us first. And I think that's pretty important, is to make the library just the staple of your community. And Suzanne and I have put our faces out there enough that people know they can come to us and we'll figure it out, or we'll figure out who to get them in contact with to make that happen for them. And just, being neighborly at the end of the day. Yeah. So.
Here is our contact information, just in case anybody thinks of any questions later. You want to talk more about something we mentioned that's not even about the Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds conference, but maybe it's about the Candy Coast, or it's about the farmers market, or just
we do
what
everything.
we do when we go say hi to everybody in the community. Please feel free to call or email. We're always welcome to chat with anybody. And of course, if anybody has any questions, please ask. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to. I always feel like this is such a weird, awkward way to present. So, and we just really wanted to thank you for giving us like 45 minutes to an hour of your day, because we're all really busy, and we appreciate that from you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming.